My brothers and sisters, you are now watching the Gamer 2323, so just forget about the chores you're supposed to do. Put your feet up, get your Kool-Aid, fried chicken, popcorn, get whatever you may need. And I hope you enjoy the video.
Alright, people, so we have to discuss last night's episode of AMC's The Walking Dead, episode 11. I think it was called Knots Untie. And just like I said, man, like a lot of people have been saying that season 6 so far has been like the best season ever of this show. And just the way this season has been going, you can't really pick out a point in this season to where there's been like a weak episode. Like they are bringing it every episode, you know. If it's not complete chaos, it's still really entertaining and like a really good show. So season 6, I mean, there's like maybe 5 more episodes left, I think, and then this season is over, like 5 or 6 more episodes. This season has been really good, like from all aspects. So I'm really impressed by how they are really keeping our interest, because so much stuff has happened. But anyways, so a lot of stuff went down in this episode. It's about to get trill. For lack of a better word, it is about to get real, okay? For you comic book readers, I know you guys are just drooling at the mouth because one of the biggest villains is on the cusp, So, but this episode starts off, Abraham, this man Abraham, he is pretty much dreaming about Sasha while in bed with Rosie, and I'm like, poor Rosita. This chick does not even realize that she's a side piece because it's just like the episode starts off and Abraham is talking to Sasha, and you know that Abraham, he kind of has some feelings towards Sasha. I don't really think he's ever had that towards Rosita. She was just there for pleasure purposes. So I never thought he really had feelings towards Rosita, but this man is literally in bed with Rosita naked, just dreaming about the conversation he had with Sasha. So I'm like, does everyone in this show have jungle fever right now? Because even Abraham, he's dreaming about a conversation with Sasha, laid up in bed next to Rosita. And I'm just like, Rosita's not a bad looking chick, but this man don't even care. He wants Sasha. He wants some jungle fever right now. So this starts off with that. And Abraham was really funny in this episode. I'm really starting to like his character. He'll just he breaks the ice a lot. Like he'll just say some random stuff like, wait, what? I'm really starting to like his character. So it starts off like that. Carl sees Jesus inside of the house for the first time, and he puts a gun on him because he doesn't know who who Jesus is yet. And then Jesus says to him, "Don't worry, and then he introduces himself, and then he says, "I'm just waiting for your mom and dad to get dressed." And Carl's like, because if you remember last episode, this man Rick put his stuff and things and coral inside of Michonne. So now Jesus thinks, that they are together. And Carl's like, wait, what? So then he sees Rick and Michonne come out the room. Rick is putting on his belt, and Carl's just like, what's up, Rick? So it was like a real awkward moment, and then the rest of the group started to come up the stairs. Daryl, Sasha, like all of them. So it was just like, the freak were you two just doing? So that episode, it was like really awkward. But then like Rick tried to like break the ice. So Jesus, let's talk. So it was that. And then Jesus, he's starting to talk with the group, and he is saying that that he has his own place, where he stays, and he trades supplies with other groups out there, and he tells Rick that they should come with him to see what he's talking about, and they eventually all agree. They still don't completely trust Jesus, which, we know why. You can't really trust no one in, the world today. But they still decide to go with Jesus because he seems like a good guy, you know. So Rick Terrell, before they leave, eventually Rick, you know, has a one-on-one talk with Carl, and he's like, cool. He's like, cool. What just happened with me and Michonne? It just happened, cool. You know, so, but Carl's cool with it. Like, Carl's like, no, do you, bro? You know, because Carl, he really likes Michonne, you know, so he wasn't like completely like, just like, I can't believe you, Dad. Like, he was cool with it. He was like, nah, it's Michonne, sucker, Dad, do you? You know, so Carl was cool with it. The whole Rick and Michonne thing, it was so cute in this episode, because while they were driving to to get to the place of Jesus, Rick and Michonne, they hold hands for a second, and they're like smiling at you. It's real cute, you know. I thought it would be awkward, but again, the way they're doing it, they're not really forcing this new relationship on you. It's more like, little parts here, little parts there, and then sometimes Rick putting his stuff in things inside Michonne. So, but they're on their way to see the place where Jesus stays at, so they're driving there. Eventually Rick and them sees a crash on the way. There's like this car turn over, and there are some walkers around, and then Jesus, he's like, this must have just happened, this must be some of my people. So they don't really trust him. He could be trying to do another setup, like he did with with the firecrackers. So they decide, you know what, handcuff this sucker. They decide to handcuff him, and he is saying, listen, some of my people must be in there, and they're not really good at fighting off walkers, so please help them. Again, they don't really trust him, so they decide to handcuff him. Rick says, all right, Maggie, you stay here with him, we're going to go inside. If I whistle, shoot him. Rick ain't taking no chances. But they do decide to check out this place to see if Jesus's people really is in here and they need help. Come to find out, Jesus was telling the truth. Some of his people were in there, and they were trying to hide, away from the walkers. So Rick and the group saves his people, brings them out. They have a doctor, which is huge, because we have this whole Glenn and Maggie thing going on, so they have a doctor, which is great. And then after that, they continue on to Jesus's place. They finally arrive there, and the place is called the Hilltop, so Jesus invites them in, saying that, listen, you guys can trust me and stuff like that. They're still not completely sure, but they're starting to kind of calm down a little. Rick is starting to put down his gun a little bit. And they welcome them in. So once the gates open, you see the Hilltop, and it's not like paradise. It wasn't like how when you first walked in Alexandria, in Alexandria, and you was like, oh my gosh, like, this junk is paradise right now, and how they had houses everywhere, and running water and electricity and stuff like that. It wasn't like that, but it's a good setup. They have some trailers out, side. They have some livestock. They have chickens, horses, they have crops and stuff like that. They have people there. They have this big mansion, where, most of the people stay in. So there's like a whole bunch of rooms inside of this mansion. So it's a pretty good, setup, so, Jesus takes them to meet the leader of this establishment, the Hilltop, and his name is Gregory. Gregory is kind of a prick. I ain't gonna lie to you. He's kind of a prick. And when he first starts to talk to Rick, I guess you could see that Rick ain't really like feeling him too much. So he's like, you go talk to him, Maggie. So Rick, I guess he doesn't like the guy already, which we could see why, because he's kind of a prick, So Maggie is the one to talk to Gregory, and once they start talking, she's trying to say that listen, these are the type of people we are, and we can really use some of your supplies. Rick and the group, they really need some food. They need some meds. So that's what she is trying to talk to him about. And again, this guy is kind of like he's the leader, but he's one of those people that's like, you just fell into this position. You're not really like a real leader. His people skills aren't that good, to say the least, So he's kind of a pretty, I don't even think he's calling Maggie by her real name. He's like, I think he kept on calling her like, what was he saying? I think he was calling Maggie by Natalie, and I was just like, can you at least call this chick by her real name? He was like, Natalie, come here. It was for like, this guy, he doesn't even call her by her real, by her real name, So again, they're not the best leader, not the best people skills out there. I guess Maggie felt like he kind of started to come on to her a little bit, which, I mean, he was saying, that she was really pretty, and I guess he called her honey like one time, and then like Maggie just shut down the whole thing. She was like, listen, okay. Maggie really impressed me. Like, Maggie could be like a good lawyer, like a good saleswoman. Like, she wasn't having none of his BS, but so she's trying to talk to him about, that they need supplies and you guys can help us and we can help you, but again, this guy isn't the best leader. He's like, listen, no, you guys need our help more than we need yours. So this is what is going to happen. And then, Maggie, she has to negotiate to this guy, not like, no, this is not what's going to happen, So it was kind of a standoff. And then Gregory, I guess he's like, gets pissed that like she's actually questioning him. He's like, off. He's like, off with you, Natalie. I'm just like, this guy's freaking terrible right now, but so that happens. Eventually, Ethan, which is a character, obviously, he returned. I think he went on a mission with some of his people to see the Saviors and to see Negan. And here's where Negan comes in, because I thought Negan wouldn't even really be... I mean, he was mentioned, with his group of guys that Daryl RPG, but the way like he was really brought up in this episode, you kind of get the feeling that this guy might show up, possibly the next episode. Like, we might see Negan before the season finale, and most people thought we wouldn't see him until like the very last episode, but it's kind of playing out real quick, so we might see. I wouldn't be shocked if he shows up in the next episode. That's all I'm saying, but so Ethan returns with him. Well, Ethan returns, I think, with like one person, and he's like, listen, they killed the others, so he's pissed off, and he stabs Gregory. He stabs him right in the stomach. Good thing it wasn't, the heart, because if that was the case, they couldn't save him, but he stabs him in the stomach, and then there's like this fight going on, so then Rick gets into it with Ethan. Ethan is on top of Rick, and he has a knife to Rick's throat. Michonne gets into it. I think like one of the girls tries to hit Rick, but because Rick and Michonne are now a thing, Michonne got in there real quick and checked the girl and said, don't you touch my husband. So that happened. And then for a split second, I think like they distracted Ethan. Rick just freaking gutted the dude right in his throat. Freaking his throat blood is all over Rick right now. And it's just like, what a way to make a first impression. You just step foot inside this place and someone is already dead. Rick is the best at first impressions, So Rick gets up. Man has blood all over his face. You can see the people inside of the hilltop, are scared. They're just like, who are these people? And this man, Rick, just says, what? Rick has become so adapted to just killing people. He's just like, Is there a reason why you guys are looking at me? He's like, no, I don't know. You have blood all over you and you just killed somebody. But Rick is just like, so that part was funny, So Ethan died, from Rick, because of the whole fight thing. And it's pretty much his fault because he did stab, Greg, So that's what you get for not calling people. That's what you get for not calling people by their real name. But again, because they have a doctor, he patches up him, so he does survive the stab, But once that happens, Jesus really starts to tell Rick about the Saviors and Negan, and they are pretty much saying that, listen, there's this group out there to where everything you see here is not completely ours. Half of everything we got goes to Negan. And he's telling them, really about all about Negan and his group and his men. So they're really getting intel on really who this guy Negan is. And Rick and the group, they're listening to him say it, and they're like, listen, we can take on this guy for you if we can get some of your stuff right now, because again, they really need food, they really need some meds, stuff like that. They can really use a lot of stuff after that freaking hurt that just freaking went through Alexandria, so they can really use some supplies. So Rick and the group, they decide to say, listen, we can take care of this guy Negan for you as long as we get some of your supplies today. So Jesus, decides to tell the boss about, the boss Gregory about it, So and then once again, Maggie is the one to go to him and say, listen, we can take care of this guy for you. We've dealt with people like this before. Hello, governor. They've dealt with people like, whoa, I don't complete. Governor was definitely like, someone that they really had to deal with. I mean, he was, in the show for like 2 seasons, for the most part, So but you get the impression, especially if you read the comics, that they don't really know what they're getting themselves into because Negan is but yeah, they're saying that they can take care of this guy that that they pretty much can kill him, and then you guys won't have to worry about this guy no more. Gregory, he's on bed, with his wound patched up, and he's like, I think he says something to Maggie, and she's like, no, we want half. He was like, what? He was like, we want half of everything you have. So it's like, God, this man Maggie, Maggie could be such a good salesperson, like a saleswoman, whatever. Like, this chick, she really like got everything she wanted from that dude, and she was not backing away. And I'm like, I have always liked Maggie, but ever since this whole Glenn thing, ever since Herschel and Beth, and it's really not those two, it's mainly the Glenn thing. Ever since Maggie and Glenn have, been, together, her character is just more like, I don't know. I can't really explain it, or I can't really, find the words for it right now. But Maggie, I was just looking, for, show some strength, show something, but she's just mad. When I look at her, I just really look at her as Glenn's, wife. I don't really look at as I don't really look at Maggie as like a really strong character, but she was really showing, that she's a strong person in this episode. She was not backing away from the leader of the hilltop, and she got everything she wanted. So the guy agrees that, okay, you guys can get half, of, our stuff, and you can take it today as long as you take care of Negan and the Saviors. So that was that it that happened? Yeah, but they, but Rick and the group was, saying that they will take down Negan, and they and you guys won't have to worry about this guy no more. Trust me, we've done this so many times. This is a walk in the park. Right? Right? I hope so. So Rick and the group, they set out a plan to take out Negan, and and Jesus decides to come, to come with them, on this journey of going to Negan's place and trying to take out Negan. That's pretty much what this episode was about. Again, you kind of get the impression that they don't really know what they're getting themselves into. Like, they got some info on this guy Negan, but they don't really know how many men he has. They don't really know, how, how well equipped they are, as far as guns and stuff like that. They don't really know. They know some stuff, but they don't know enough to just go up to someone's door and trying to take over. So you kind of get the impression that they, are kind of a little cocky right now, just because, now Rick and the group, they they've done stuff like this before, and they can definitely handle themselves. But at the same time, you kind of get the feeling that they're a little too confident going up with this guy, because they don't really know all that about him. But that's really what this episode was about. Again, I thought that Negan might not show up until like the very last episode. You have, well, I think 12, 13, 14, 15, I think there's 16 episodes. It might be even 17, but I know for a fact there's at least 5 episodes left. And I didn't think you would even see Negan until like the very last episode. But the way this is going, we might really see this guy the next episode. I would not be shocked. And Negan, again, like, he is going to be a huge villain, but it's definitely going to get really bigger. Again, they have been, thrown into a completely new world. There are groups out there, people are, trading stuff with others. They weren't really aware of all of this just until now. So they have been thrown into a new world, and let's just say it's about to get lit in the next couple of episodes. I cannot wait to see how this junk turns out, bro. Especially seeing Negan on screen for the first time. Can't wait to see it, bro. So, but what did you guys think about this episode? Again, I really have been enjoying. I have enjoyed every single episode in season 6 so far. Literally every episode, man. I would give this episode probably a 8.5. Like, this episode was good, man. Like, man, if y'all suckers don't watch The Walking Dead, you got to watch it, bro. This show somehow is getting better and better and better, man. So but yeah, that's really, all the stuff that went down in this episode. I can't wait to see what goes down in the next one. When you seen the preview, you see Rick and the group, they're talking about taking on Negan, and Rick is saying, listen, this is what we have to do to keep this place going, to feed this place. And you see Morgan, and that Morgan, he's not about violence. Morgan is a pacifist. He's not really, he can take on walkers, but when it comes to killing people, he wants no part of it. And you can see that Morgan, it kind of, just his facial expression, it shows like, I can't do this no more. I don't belong with this group. I don't agree with what they're doing. I knew this was about to happen. You just see that Morgan, he's just like, he's not with this. Like, he's not with where this is going. So, oh man, there's so many questions I have, but we just gotta wait till the next couple of episodes, man. But yeah, that was my review for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed my review for this episode. Catch y'all on my next one, all right? Peace.